Honestly, everyone's obsessed with entries. But you know what separates amateurs from pros? And that is trade management. You can have the perfect entry, just like what you see on your screen. The perfect breakout, the perfect retest, the perfect trend continuation and whatnot. But if you don't know how to manage these trades, trust me, you will be watching a green trade turning into red. And that will suck. I'm sure you guys have been through it and you already know how that feels. So in this particular video, today, I am going to give you the exact system that I use to lock in profits, to cut losses fast, and the most important part, how to grow a trading account with less stress and even lesser second guessing. Alright, so let's get straight into it. So I would like to divide this video into different sections. So the very first section is going to be about why trade management. Like, why do you want to be managing a trade? Like, just get into it and place your SLs, place your TP and just move away from the screen. But that is not how it works. I mean, that is one way of doing it, but that is not how it actually works. Alright, so every trader basically thinks that they can just nail the perfect entry. Like, as I said, just like a shorting from almost the top or a long entry from almost the bottom. Alright, that is what we think is the most important part, but everything else might work out. Alright, you might be expecting, you might be assuming that this is the perfect entry and now everything will just work out on its own, but that is not correct. Alright, that is absolutely wrong. And here is the brutal truth. Most trades, they don't fail because of bad entry. They fail because the exit strategy that never exists. You got into the trade, but you have no idea where you want to be exiting out of that trade. So you didn't know when to take profits, you didn't know when to move your stop to break even, or when you should be trailing your SL, or you just let your emotions ride your plan. Alright, so just for the sake of example, let's say we got into this trade, this particular long trade, and we placed our SL just around this area. Alright, so this is a perfect entry. But what if here, after this trade started to play out, it would have reversed from this point of price action? From this, let's say it retested the previous lows and then it just reversed. What would have you done that? Like, even after capturing a move of, let's say, almost 3%, you gave it all back to the market and literally made a loss. You might have made a loss as well. So you do not want to end up in scenarios like that. So this is something which most of you guys would have personally faced, where you got into a trade, it was in green, but just because you wanted more profit, just because you did not try to manage that trade, it reversed and it just either hit your at break even or it just made you a bigger loss. Alright, so in scenarios like this, you do not want to be just looking at the screens and see all the profit vanish away, because profits are not profit when they are on your dashboard, they are profit once you realize them. Alright, so that's the most important part. So trade management is basically that insurance policy for your setups. Alright, like even the worst trading entry can give you profits if you manage it properly. Alright, let's say you enter into a wrong trade, you entered somewhere around this area. Alright, so when you entered here, let's say your SL was around this area, so this management at this point of time is absolutely good, because you entered this trade, it went against you, but then again it played out as just as you wanted it to. Alright, so that management was correct because you placed your SL in an absolutely accurate place, and that's just for the sake of example. But then that was not a great entry. This was a great entry which was shared with the community in advance while I was doing the live stream. But then yeah, this was the perfect entry. This is what you want to be doing as well. So now, as I said, if you would have managed it accordingly, even a bad entry can give you good profits. If not good, but at least profits are profits. Alright, that is what matters to me. And also that was about the worst entries. But also, if you have a A+ setup, alright, it can still go red if it is not managed properly. So just stop this. Alright, so stop obsessing over timing the exact top or bottom. Eventually you will master that, but in the beginner phase, do not obsess over timing that exact top or bottom. Just start focusing on managing what happens after you get into this trade. Alright, so that is the most important part. Now that was the section 1, like why trade management is important. Alright, and trade management and risk management are two different components. Do not try to mix them. Alright, so that was the section 1 about why trade management. Now let's move to section 2, which is a system, a profit booking system. Alright, I'll give you the most simple trading system, alright, like which I've been teaching to my community as well when it comes about profit booking. So let's say you got into a trade, all right, and in, let's say, this particular long trade, here you are trying to risk $100, all right. So if your SL gets hit, you will be losing $100. But then it was a 1:3 risk to reward trade. So let me just make it a 1:3 reward, all right. So this is an almost 1:3 risk to reward trade. Now what you would have want to do as soon as you entered into this trade, once it started to play in your favor, in a scenario where you do not have a clean resistance zone or a point of interest where you want to see some kind of resistance, when you do not have that, this is the best setup that you can follow, all right. So as soon as you enter the trade, since you were going for a 1:3 risk to reward, so as soon as you hit 1.5, book about 50% of the quantity, all right, in a scenario where you were not aware of where you are going to be booking your TP, all right. Let's say you are extremely confident and you have a very strong reason to believe that the market will reverse from this point and will hit the all-time high or whatever is the previous high or lows. Obviously, if there is a strong reason for you to believe in that, yeah, fine, hold the trade. But I would recommend that it is always good to realize some profit, because in the end you do not want to regret being in profit and then not realizing that, all right. So as soon as you hit 1.5 hour, probably book 50% of the quantity, all right. As soon as you hit 2.5 hour, what you would want to do is bring your SL at break even, all right. Now this trade is absolutely risk free. Even in a scenario when you booked the TP at 1.5 hour, even then if the market would have reversed and hit your SL, you would have still been in profit, all right. So that is the kind of trade management I'm teaching you guys. So now as soon as you reach the 2.5 hour, you want to move the SL at break even, all right. So this is what your SL is, that is exactly where your entry is as well, all right. As soon as it hits your target, now you can either book some quantity, obviously that's a good choice to do, but if not, what you can do is you can start to trail your SL probably on a smaller time frame, let's say on 15-minute or probably on a 10-minute or whatever is the best time frame for you. Make sure you have a logic behind trailing your SL and you do not just randomly place that trailing SL just on the basis of, okay, if my SL gets hit here, I'll be making $50 or $30 or whatnot. That is not the correct logic. You want to place the SL exactly where probably the market structure might shift or where there is a reason for market to reverse from. That is the only area where you want to be placing your trailing SL, all right. So this way you will be securing gains early, all right. Some profits will be realized early. Second, you still leave room for extension. So in a scenario where let's say the market was about to pump this crazy, you are still able to capitalize on that, all right. You did not exit by 100%, and that is again something that I teach my community members as well. I would strongly recommend to never exit a trade by the 100% of the quantity, because again, if there is going to be a bigger move, it still leaves some room for you to be a part of that push. And the most important part of that push is not going to be about the profit you will be making, but the kind of confidence it will help you to gain, all right. So that's the reason why I always recommend to not book 100% of the quantity that you have entered with, all right. And the third and the most important part is you never walk away with zero or being in a heavy loss, all right. So yeah, you never walk away with a zero or being in a big loss. So do not enter into a trade and just expect that, okay, this is going to be the next biggest move and whatnot. No, never do that, all right. Smart traders, they take profit at logical levels, all right, be it previous highs, previous lows, some equilibrium levels, naked point of controls or whatever, all right. They do not just look at a trade like, okay, I've entered with $100, I want to make $100 out of this trade, all right. So that is not what you want to do as well. So as I said, profit on paper is not profit until it's booked, all right. So that is the most important part. And again, with this I would also repeat one of the lines that I tell you guys, that always consider withdrawing your profits, all right. Like you need to withdraw your profits because you might just end up giving it back to the market, so you do not want to do that, all right. So always when you make profits, make sure you withdraw them probably every week or whenever you feel it's right, all right, probably at every 15 days of interval, all right. So yeah, so that was the section 2 of this video. Now let's go to the section 3, which is about the stop loss, all right. Because I told you guys right in the start of this video where I said trade management and risk management, they are two completely different things. Now under trade management there is also stop loss adjustment, all right. So let's talk about stop loss. So this is actually the most misunderstood tool in trading. People like to place their SL, let's say, all right, let me place this again. All right, so let's say this is where you entered, and a logical SL would be at around 99,133, but you want to place it at 100k just because your risk appetite is of $100, and if the price reaches at around 100k, you will be losing $100. But then the logical SL was around 99.2 or wherever. All right, so now you are taking extremely high risk just because you entered with heavy quantity. You cannot afford to place a valid SL, or probably before the SL gets hit, you might get liquidated because you entered with heavy leverage. So that is what you do not want to be doing. All right, so actually a good stop isn't just about placing it under the last wick or last low or last high. It's about adapting. All right, it's about adapting it as the trade develops. So this is not a final SL, be it the best SL placement before the trade begins, but this is never going to be the final SL. As soon as the price starts to move in your favor, you want to make the SL smaller and smaller and eventually make it a risk-free trade. And what you can consider after that is, if you're not someone who likes to book quantity and if you want to capture the next big move, in scenarios like that, do not book any quantity, but you can trail your SL. All right, so I have these two principles that I share with my community members as well. Either you can book some quantity and bring your SL at break even and leave it, but if you're someone who likes to trail the SL, all right, let's say this is the SL line, and if you likes to trail it below every swing low or swing highs, in scenarios like that, I will strongly recommend to never book any quantity, because you're already trailing your SL. So no matter what happens, you are going to be in profit. But then at least, because you're not leaving enough room for the price to play out because you're trailing your SL, so at least leave a bigger quantity. So if it plays out in your favor, you will be capturing a bigger profit. And even if your SL gets hit, you will still be making some money out of it. All right, so it's the most important part. Now, there has to be certain logic. All right, every time you trail a SL, there has to be logic behind it. Like probably, as I said, if you are someone who wants to trail, do not try to book any quantity. Probably trail with 100%. Or what you can do is, probably once TP1 is hit, as I said, bring your SL to entry. After TP2, you can bring SL to the previous low or previous high, and that is how you can just keep on continuing the trailing as well. All right, so this way, again, what happens is you keep on locking all the gains, all right, all the profits. You are protecting your capital, and then the most important part, you don't give back any profit that you have earned. All right, so that is the most important part. No matter if it's a big profit, it's a small profit, profit is profit. All right, so don't keep static stops in a dynamic market. All right, so you do not want to just place the SL and then just forget. No, it has to be managed. Micromanagement is what kills your trade. All right, so I'll repeat that. Micromanagement will kill your trade, but managing it with logic will always make you make more money. All right, so that was the section 3. Now moving to the section 4 of this video, it's about how to master your emotions. All right, because this is where 90% of the traders lose money. You made a lot of profit probably in the past few days, and then it hardly took one trade and you gave everything back. All right, so exactly, this is where 90% of the traders lose money, probably even more. So it's not about the chart, but it's all in the mind, even with trading as well. All right, so you are in profit, price is flying, and your brain says, let it run, we are going to make the biggest profit we have ever made, and that's it. You get to see a quick reversal. Probably it was a scam push towards the upside, a scam wick, and then just the most aggressive reversal you would have ever seen is what you're seeing on your chart, and that's it. Now your confidence, it's gone. All right, confidence, it's literally zero. You cannot place your next trade with the same confidence. Even though you were gambling, you'll still be thinking that should I enter the next trade or not. So yeah, you do not want to be doing that. Now, so let's probably make a checklist. All right, like how do you master all this emotion? So when the price moves in your favor, all right, let's say you went into a long trade and now the price has started to move in your favor. As soon as it reaches a zone of interest where you have, let's say, a resistance level, all right, let's say you have a resistance level here, just ask yourself, all right, that is this my target? If yes, definitely book some partials. All right, because that is the most important part. If that was your target, definitely book some partials. Bring your SL to break even. or probably you start to trail it, that's fine. All right, make it a risk-free trade as soon as you hit your TP, because after hitting TP you do not want to be giving any profits back to the market. All right, so do not get into that greed mode. Book whatever profit you have made after reaching your level. All right, because initially in your beginner phase of trading is what I am saying, you might be trading with a low capital, so probably as soon as you hit your TP1 level, it is showing you hardly a $10 profit or probably even less. But that does not matter, because what you want to be seeing is in the percentage terms, and eventually your capital will grow. All right, your capital will grow, but this percentage term is what will help you make consistent profit and be in this game for a longer duration. All right, so yeah, always think in percentage basis and not dollar terms or monetary terms. So that was the very first question that you ask yourself from the checklist, that okay, was that my level, was that my target? If yes, yeah, book the profits. Second would be when the price starts to pull back. All right, like in a scenario here that you see that price has started to reverse. All right, even though you got into a great entry on this trade, but the price has started to reverse. So just ask yourself, all right, is this just a normal retracement, or are there any chances that this is going to be our next lower high and the price might just reverse from here? All right, so ask that question, use your logic, and if you get to a point that okay, no, this has a higher probability of just being a retracement, yeah, that's fine. You have placed your SL at the previous low or previous high or wherever. All right, so you are already safe. But in a scenario where you feel that okay, this is going to be the reversal, all right, and feeling is not obviously not what you want to be using with your trading, but your logic, if your logic says that okay, this has a higher probability of being the reversal, you definitely want to get out of this trade with maximum quantity. All right, let probably 10-20% run in this trade, just because you want to check out if this trade would have played out in your favor or not. All right, so that is another important part. Now, these were a few questions that you could have asked yourself, but also probably add more based upon whatever your trading situation is. Add more questions and just stick it to your trading desk. Every time when you trade or when you are in a trade, make sure you ask these questions to yourself. All right, because if you control your emotions, all right, you'll be able to make it big in the trading. If not, your emotions will control you and you are going to blow away your account. All right, so that is the most important part. Do not keep on guessing, just make a decision and stick to it. All right, so that was the section 4 of this video. Now moving to the section 5, which is going to be the end part of this video. What do I do? All right, so basically here's the one rule that changed everything for me, and that was never ever let a green trade turn red. All right, no matter if it's a 1% push in my favor or a 10% push, I will never leave a green trade which will turn out to be red. All right, so that is it. It's that simple. All right, but it's brutally effective. All right, like it is one of those pointers which made a massive impact in my trading as well. So if I am in a trade and I am up even by one hour, like basically one risk to reward kind of thing, I am going to make sure either this is going to be a risk-free trade for me, or I will book some quantity. All right, that is the kind of trading I love to do. And mostly in a scenario, let's say if I'm trading Bitcoin and I've entered here and my next resistance is way higher, let's say after a push of 3, 4 or 5%, I would always consider booking some TP at 0.5%. As soon as Bitcoin moves in my favor, probably 0.5, 0.6%, I'll book some TP there. All right, and again, this all depends upon the kind of situation you are in. This kind of rules, they can be a bit flexible. You do not have to stick to a particular number, but yeah, in the initial phase it would be great if you fix a particular number, but then yeah, in long terms, these numbers, they have to be extremely flexible. All right, so yeah, as I said, probably at 1.5 hour, I'll be looking at booking some quantity, bringing my at break even. I'll be making sure that every important level, every important key resistance zone or support zone, I will be booking some partials. I will look what the structure looks like, since I've told you guys already that I have a great knowledge of price action and market structure. So every time when we hit one of the important levels, I do like to have a broader look at the charts and see if the price action is getting weaker and weaker. I'll probably exit out of that trade. All right, because I always say this, that small consistent wins build large confident traders. All right, so that is the most important part. I do not like to trade with the hope that it might play out in my favor. If there is a logic, I'll hold the trade. If there is no logic, I'll probably just exit out of it. All right, so that is how I trade. This rule, they do protect my capital. They help me build profit consistently. Big profit, small profit, it does not matter, because in the end profits are profit. So yeah, that's about how I use this as a cheat code for me to grow in trading. All right, so probably one final bonus tip that I'll share with you guys that you can consider adding it to your trading desk is that good trades, they manage themselves, bad trades manage you. All right, so yeah, just understand what I just said, probably write it down, stick it to your desk, and this is how we are going to be managing our trade year after. All right, so that's how you manage a trade like a pro. It's not about being right all the time, it's about knowing what to do once you are in the trade. All right, so if you guys like this video, drop a yes in the comments. All right, if this video made any changes in your trading style, or if you feel it was good enough, drop a yes in the comments. And if you want more such breakdowns from psychology to execution, hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.